What's up, guys? Z-Farrell's back here. It's been a big week in Madden, a lot of gameplay news coming out, so let's see what we know so far about Madden 17. Number one thing is that Rob Gronkowski is your cover athlete, Gronk spiking. Number two is that it's going to be called Take Your Team All the Way. That is what we have up on the website as copy. Number three is that it's coming out August 23rd. So my birthday is August 15th. I'll be asking for the pre-order of this game on August 23rd. Number four, we have information on the all-new ground game on both the offensive side for ball carriers and on the defensive side for gap play and AI control. How we know this, we will look at the blog deeper right now. So let's dig in. The full information on franchise mode and presentation, which hit different parts of the community. This is mostly a gameplay channel, but I know that we have some hardcore CFM fans that watch. It sounds like franchise mode has been redesigned and is deeper than ever. And then for presentation, it looks like there's going to be some changes there, but we don't have the blog yet. So, we can only really know what we know. So let's take a look at Unleash All New Moves. So there's new ball carrier special moves, and they reflect more accurate player types. Now it sounds like bruising backs, guys like Marshawn Lynch that I've been saying, give me an elusive back over a guy like Marshawn Lynch, they're now going to have better trucks and stiff arms. Whereas the smaller backs will have the better jukes, and it looks like it's going to give you some guidance if you're a newer player to expand your moves. Now, let's dig in deep and find out what all of this actually means in the blog. Alright, we jump into this special moves blog, and we've got Le'Veon Bell. Looks like he's cutting up field. Now, it sounds like based on the special move ratings and potentially body weight, ball carriers will have a different range of animation. So it sounds like a lineman, defensive tackle that picks up the ball will be lumbering over like Vince Wilfork, and a guy like, possibly Deshaun Jackson here is going to have an elite style, and the elite will open up the best moves, and only the upper class guys will have those. So it sounds like with Deshaun Jackson, the higher the rating, the better chance you have, especially with the timing that you need. So for guys with the 70s and the 80s, they'll get versions of the special moves that aren't quite as explosive as the elite moves, but they can be effective if they're timed correctly. Now, that's something I've been asking for with the truck rating. I want guys with a bigger truck rating to have a longer window on the right stick as to when you can truck a defender. So we'll have to see if that gets in there, but it sounds like that's a possibility with these. So hopefully that's something that comes up. Now for lumbering players, these are the slowest guys with, moves that for players that are over 300 pounds, so like that D tackle we talked about, and if you don't quite have that ball carrier rating. Now, fatigue sounds like it has been a factor now when doing the moves. So if an elite player is going to do an elite move, but he's tired, he's going to drop he can't pull off that elite move. So now we got to factor in stamina when going in. So along with the new special moves, it sounds like the fake out system has been overhauled, and that's going to change the way that the ground game plays too. You want to time the special moves, but you can get full multiplayer fake out animations. So a multiplayer fake out is a dynamic animation that includes multiple players all at once based on their location. This can now be many players, all depending on the type of move used, the ball carrier's skill levels, and the user's own stick skills. Being able to successfully fake out defenders takes more than just timing. The user must first know his ball carrier and his best moves. In addition, recognizing where the defender or defenders are that you're trying to evade is critical, because each move has an ideal zone in which the success chance is increased. So this is something I find in last year's game super interesting, because in Ultimate Team, when you get these receivers, you go and you look at their catch and traffic, their spec, their route running, and that's about it, their release and their speed. So those 5 ratings. But then you get a guy like Percy Harvin or Deshaun Jackson, who they're not elite one-on-one huge Calvin Johnson downfield receivers. So you're like, wow, these guys have great elusiveness and juke move, but what does that get me? Does that give me an increased fake out chance? And it does a little bit, but it never overshadows the fact that they're just not as good one-on-one catchers, in my opinion. So Now it sounds like with the ability to fake out defenders and possibly even multiple defenders on a play, depending on if Julian Edelman has a more elite rating in space, now that it seems to be more of a factor, could that change the way on a drag route you want to go to a guy like him or Deshaun Jackson rather than a guy with higher catching traffic or a guy who's a little faster like a Tavon Austin? I'm sure he'll have good move rating, but you know, a guy, just a straight speed guy, Mario Alford, Brashad Perryman, guys like that who aren't as dynamic in the open field. They're not, punt returners and stuff like that. All right, so how do you actually, pull off these moves that we've been talking about and make Tavon Austin that dynamic guy we were mentioning? It sounds like there are 4 special move types in the game this year. You've got standard, speed, which is the R trigger, precision, left trigger, and then steerable, which is both. So for standard moves, you simply just press the button and you don't use any modifiers. So you just tap B, he'll just spin, and there is all new animations for each, and it just has the base risk for stamina, fumble, and injury, and you could fake out possibly as many as 2 defenders with a standard move. So that's good information to know. Speed moves are much faster. They're short, they're quick. You hold down the R trigger, you tap B, boom, you're going to get a much quicker animation. It sounds like the quality of the move is going to be based on the player's ratings, and those will actually have new animations too. Users will now be able to kind of use R trigger to change up speed when running the ball. So it gives you the lowest risk for stamina and fumble, but you can only fake out 1 defender. So that's pretty interesting. If you have 2 defenders, you want to go with a standard. If you have just 1 in the area, maybe consider the speed move, and you decrease your stamina risk. The precision modifier is L trigger, and this is kind of how it was in Madden 16. When you hit that L trigger, these moves are much more longer, played out. That precision spin or the precision juke, they can fake out multiple defenders though, but I'm gonna guess that it's gonna carry the highest risk to your stamina, to fumble, to injury. So you really got to figure out, do I want to do this precision move? Is there 3 guys in the area, or can I get away with just a regular one and only fake out 2 defenders potentially? And then lastly is the steerable modifier. So for users that have great stick skill, like myself, most special moves can be steered by holding down both modifiers while performing a special move. So you get steerable moves that offer the most control, because you can use the left stick and still get input. So now if you spin and you want to get upfield, the left stick is going to matter if you hit both. So this is very, very interesting, and I don't really think we've had anything quite like this. However, these moves don't actually use the fake out chance. They instead influence the defender's pursuit angle. Steerable moves carry the base risk for stamina and fumble and injury, and not all moves are steerable. So you can steer a spin, you can steer a juke, you can steer a back juke, and you can steer a truck. But you don't factor in the fake out system from the first 3 moves, so that's pretty interesting. And you just get the base hit to your stamina, potential risk for fumble and injury. And then lastly are utility moves for the move buttons that aren't steerable, like dive and stiff arm. They can be used as utility moves. So you have your celebration run, you've got your ball carrier give up, which is great. I think we've been asking for that for a long time. And then the quarterback slide. So now you can slide with the quarterback. You can't steer the hurdle. You'll get a precision hurdle if you do both. So that's really good information to know and start thinking about what moves you can go with. Along with those moves is something called tackle battles. This is a twitch mechanic that gives users the ball and ability to influence the outcome of tackles as both the ball carrier or the defender. So whenever a defender and ball carrier get locked up in a standing tackle, a random face button will appear on the screen. So either Y, B, A, or X. And the first player to hit that button wins. So for the defender, this means to finish up the tackle, boom, you got to tap the button and bring them down. If you're trying to run the ball and you see it pop up on the screen, you got to be the first guy to hit it, and you will break the tackle. What's cool about this, and I think a lot of people on Twitter I saw were pretty, oh man, what's this like? Is this like Fight for the Fumble for Madden 10? What is this going to be like? I think the size of the timing window and the frequency of tackle battles are determined by the ratings and styles of both players in the tackle battle. A bruising running back is more likely to get tackle battle with a linebacker than a CB. So, yeah, it sounds like the ratings have to be close. Like if you have Marshawn Lynch, he's going to get a cornerback. The cornerback's not going to hold him up, force you to do a tackle battle. It sounds like it's a higher percentage chance if the ratings are closer to kind of give players a chance. So you got to always be ready for that. You know, this year when you're about to fall down and you flick the right stick and you get back up, like you're always like, got to be ready for it. I think this year it sounds like you're going to have to be ready for these tackle battles to happen. Ball carrier accessibility and visual feedback. Now for the new guys out there watching, thinking, should I get Madden 17? I want to play, but I'm from across the pond and I know a little bit of football, but I never played a football video game. It sounds like there's some new tools available in Madden 17, and it's going to help you recommend like what moves, what timing. If you're playing on the newer difficulty, which I definitely recommend for newer players, it's going to help you with that. It's going to give you feedback on your special moves, whether you're doing it early or late, and it's going to give you a path indicator. And you can see right there Le'Veon Bell. On Rookie and Pro, it's going to show you kind of what lane you should take and where you're projected to go. I think NHL did something like this last year. As a veteran NHL player, I did turn it off, but I think it could really help people because it teaches you the mistakes you're making, and then you can just shut the setting off once you get comfortable. So the other thing is the ball carrier threat cone, which is, if you want the assist, similar to what I read, I think was it similar to like the tackle cone from this year. It will help you learn the zones of the fake out chances. So these are just tools that will help the new players get better, and you can just turn them off and they won't bother the more hardcore veterans. So that's pretty cool. Now, for move settings, you have auto, assist, and manual. So they're giving you options, and that's one thing that I like to see. I've always been a big fan of options, but that is what's going on with the ball carrier moves. Sounds like there's a lot there, and it sounds like you're going to be able to do some pretty crazy combos in Madden 17. So that is what's up with the deep dive in ball carrier special moves, but there's still more. More came out last week, and we're going to go over that right now. All right, so defensively, both the run game and the pass game has gotten an overhaul. So not just coverage, but this is for the first time ever, the defense will have a defensive gap control system that makes defending the run more engaging and authentic. So there's a new run fit system. They installed it in the same way that the defensive coordinators install their defenses in the NFL. There's alignment, assignment, and technique. And what it amounts to is every defender now has a job on the play. So you've seen guys, they play quarters, they rush 3, and they're able to stop the inside zone. And it sounds like that could be a complete change because now every defender has a job to do. Cover 3 defense versus gun trips. You see right here that the first step in upgrading the AI is to ensure that defenders are aligned in the correct place to give them the best chance at executing their jobs. Thus, the first piece of the run fit system is the new defensive auto flip feature. What exactly does that mean? The AI will automatically flip your defense when the offense flips so that your defense aligns to the proper strength in relation to the offensive formation they see after breaking the huddle. When your defense has been flipped, you will see visual feedback in the score HUD to tell you that your defense has been flipped, as well as what part of the defense was flipped, whether it was just your entire defense, the coverage, or the front. And as obviously with earlier, you can just shut that off if you prefer to do it yourself, as some of us always do. Now, there's different ways that the defense can be flipped. So each play carries its own flip rules and will align to different strengths to the offense. When aligning to the run strength, the entire defense will align to the side of the offense with the most tight ends or fullbacks, or the heaviest side of the offense. When aligning to pass strength, the entire defense will align to the side of the offense with the most eligible receivers. And lastly, when aligning in sub, the defensive front will align to the run strength, while the coverage will align to the pass strength. Here's a quick breakdown of the flip rules. Base defenses such as 3, 4, 4-3, and 4-6 align to run strength, because those are the defenses you generally come out when you want to stop the run. Sub coverage defenses such as dime, nickel, and quarter align with sub rules, which is pass, and then sub blitz defenses align to the pass strength. So, that seems pretty common sense, but definitely for the more hardcore football guys, it makes sense. But for maybe the newer guys, it could be a little complicated. But it sounds like it's going to take care of that for you. Now, the assignment piece, the next step is gap assignments. All defenders in Madden 17 have a specific responsibility on each play. This includes gap integrity for run-fit defenders and coverage responsibility plus run support for coverage defenders. This is going to make play calling more engaging and strategic based than it has ever been in previous versions. Now, the defenders have AI and behaviors to execute the play called by the user and realize the intent of that decision, and you'll know about this before the snap. So before the snap, the individual gap assignments will come from what play you called and what it's meant to do. Now, this is completely dynamic before and after the snap, and even includes gap responsibilities for each defender for plays going in either direction. You can see the desired run gaps before with the Coach Cam art. And so here you see the run fit right there for a run right, and here you see the run fit for a run left. Now, obviously you're better set to stop the run to the right potentially because the defender on the right is going to be that force defender and push everything back. On the left, it's that safety, and he's got to get all the way out there, and there's more. So the number of run-fit defenders is completely dependent on the specific play you call. Defenders who are considered to be run-fit defenders are the players that are run-first players, and the art will show what their fit is. And this will update to match the formation of the offense. These players are generally inside the tackle box. Remember, guys in the box, which is what we taught you on this channel here, which is why you should follow this channel. But they're very important to the run game if they're up in the box. Now, for example, in cover 4 plays, all defenders in the box will show as run fit, plus the 2 deep safeties are run first players within that scheme. So real scheme decisions, and we're going to have to learn those because every now and then we get into some schemes that's a little bit more Madden than football. That's just how every now and then I make some changes. But it sounds like now they have the authentic schemes in there, and you got to make sure that you're getting the correct numbers, whether it's run or pass. Now, some players will not have a run or a gap because they are pass-first players. They'll still react to the run and fill in support once they confirm it's not a pass play, and that's where you like that, awareness or play rec that hopefully makes them figure it out a little bit faster. Now, as a play caller, not all defenses fill every gap versus every offensive formation. So, goal line versus quarters 3 deep, there'll be gaps that are not accounted for because you just don't have enough players. So that's pretty important to realize. This is quarters 3 deep against goal line. Now, after the snap is where the logic really separates itself from the past games. Now, just because a defender is assigned to a gap before the snap doesn't mean he's locked to that gap for the remainder of the play. Each defender has AI that allows him to update his gap and react to the war in the trenches to fill up the open lanes created by blockers as the play develops. This AI relies heavily on play recognition rating. Very important. Based on the play rec rating, defenders will be faster or slower in reading the play and finding the right gap to fill. Each player that is not blitzing will start the play in an assignment we call read and react. You can see this in action with our new read and react movement animations, which has players strafing laterally in a controlled state as they read the play, while also leveraging their assigned gaps. Even defenders who are on the line of scrimmage but not blitzing will use this assignment to read the play before attempting to make a play. The higher the player's play rec is, the faster he'll be able to break out of his read and react to the assignment and fill the gap he's starting, which I predicted just a paragraph before, but it's now appears to be confirmed from this blog. So think about play rec. In combination with the ratings on the defensive line as they engage, a defense with higher cumulative ratings will be more successful at defending the run than lower rated defense. Makes total sense. Because of the new run fit system and gap logic, users on the defensive side of the ball will have the ability to use strategy and realistic football concepts to counter running plays that their opponents use regularly. Now, technique is the other piece that we discussed, but the improved AI is not just about gaps. So not only do they know what gap to go, they have to know what technique to play. So you can't just get in a gap and shut everything down. You have to take that gap with intent. And in Madden 17, they have new run fit techniques that will play their gaps authentically. So there's force, cutback, fill, jet, crack replace, and 2 gap. Crazy words. Let's find out what they mean. Force. The force defender is something Madden fans have been wanting for a long time. So the force player is the contain guy. He's the outside person who tries to make sure his gap doesn't get beat to the outside. He's the last line of defense on the edge against that toss. You want him to get out there and push everything back to the inside, which is what we teach you to do with your user against the toss here on this channel. So the player who's the force defender will have the F above his head, and it's going to be super important that he has a good play rec rating to get there. Strength and block shed. So once again, Pernell McPhee is a player we've always liked against the force defender. And here you can see him getting bodied by a receiver, but notice he's getting to the outside of that receiver, and hopefully everything's going to have to go back. So he's not getting stood up. He's trying to get outside. He's not getting pushed back. He's doing his best to make sure nobody can get back in there. Now, you've got the cutback defender, who's the opposite of the force player. His job is to play conservatively on the backside of the play so that he's in position to make the tackle if the ball carrier cuts back away from the play side. The cutback player can be a defensive lineman or a linebacker or a defensive back, but he'll have a C above his head. Now, he's not the captain. He is the cutback player. Think about it, though. Guys, LeSean McCoy, one of the best cutback players in the game, or in the NFL. How many times does he go against the Giants? The weak side D-end crashes down, and LeSean McCoy cuts back around him and goes for a huge gain. Teams use the fake end around to hold that backside player, and this now has that actual role. So that's pretty important in my opinion. Now, fill players are the rest of the defenders who are not the force player, not the cutback player, or not the blitzers on the play. They're going to work together as a unit and try and force the running back into the teeth of the defense. Now, jet players are blitzers. They can be on the line or off the line, but their job is simple. Aggressively run at the assigned gap with the intent to get through. And they'll have red lines there. The last couple that you have here is the crack replace. You've got an assignment that shows the dynamic nature. The crack replace defender is the job whose primary job is to support the force player. He's not originally in the run fit and won't show up, but he has a job to do regardless. Now, when the force player must recognize and read the offense and take over the force assignment, it's all done dynamically. So he has to recognize, read the offense, and then he becomes the force player. So that's important to realize. When there is a defensive back outside or behind the force player, he will become the crack replace. If you are in a defense where the force player is on an island, you won't get the benefit of having a crack replace player. So very important to get good play calls in. Now you've got, lastly, your two gap. This is the first time the game's ever had a two gap player. So think about a great defensive tackle who can, really clog things up. That's really never been represented that well. They will get double teams this year, and it looks good. But now it sounds like the two-gap assignment is an AI-assigned technique and can be used primarily by players on the line of scrimmage in an even alignment, meaning that they're head up directly with an offensive lineman in front of their face. So you'll see this in stuff like 3-4 odd. So we'll see how that works. I'd love to get a little more clarification on that, but that sounds like something people have been asking for. And then lastly, blocking. So to provide the proper balance for the run game, many blocking improvements have been made as part of the Run Fits feature. So now it looks like zone blocking, AI, and animations. So with defenders now working to fill gaps created by the blockers, outside zone and stretch type plays look and feel more like their real world counterparts, with the defense getting stretched laterally. So things kind of moving. Now this will create lanes for the ball carrier to read and gaps for the Run Fit defenders to fill. With the new ball carrier mechanics, finding the cutback lane that has not been accounted for by the defense feels more rewarding. So you'll also see new laterally moving blocks such as zone, reach blocks. You're going to get, let's see here. So you've got zone steps, reach blocks, double teams, cut blocks, and force blocks that will make the run game feel more realistic. Now, blockers have a job to do to execute the intent of the play. So you'll see blockers performing their assignments that meet the goal. So once again, that's zone steps, reach blocks, double teams, cut blocks, and force blocks. All right, guys, that is pretty much it for the run game on offense and defense. We talked about the moves, we talked about gap assignments, and you got to do your job if you want to be better. And that's something we've been teaching people all the time, and now it's really going to pay off that you've learned it over the course of the years as the game will go to that more realistic style. And then to continue just going a little bit more in depth with some of the things we talked about, there was another good Game Informer article, so I won't read you the whole article, but I will point out some of the things that I liked about it. So, money plays, you guys know how we feel about money plays, but now, according to Rex, is we would like to believe that we have built a defensive counter to every single offensive concept that exists in Madden. So, there's a new section of the play calling menu called Run Pass Counters that lets you pick the area of the field where you're getting beat. So if someone keeps hitting you with running back passes to the flat, you can go to the run pass counters that say short passes outside. This will get you a brand new zone called a cover too hard flat, where the linebacker matches the play going out to the area of the field. If you commit to the flat, you can get burned elsewhere, so you still got to kind of balance. But we've been asking for flat zones that play down, and it sounds like that's there. This hard flat also demonstrates new zone coverages by defender. The game had only 4 spot drops, but now there are 8 new zones and defenders cover better in them. So 8 new zones, and we get a little intel on what they could be. An example would be the slant drag combo, where the tight end comes across the middle and the slot receiver slants out over the top versus a cover 3 sky. This year, the linebackers in the cover 3 match track the receivers as they come through the defender's zone, so what it looks like a zone defense before the snap shifts to a man-to-man as the play develops. Similarly, the defensive pattern matching plays set the rules and responsibilities for defenders. For instance, in a match defense, if your linebacker and the number 1 receiver cross your face on a slant or a drag route, your responsibility is to match him instead of letting him run by. But if the number 3 receiver goes vertical on the same play, you follow him down the field instead. So, as Rex says here, it's not the same reads you've been making for the last 25 years because things play out a lot differently. At the line of scrimmage, you've got the new gap responsibilities that we talked about. You got your cutback guys that we talked about, and the guys that attack the gaps. You got the force defenders. They go into ratings here. They talk about stamina. They talk about the level of moves that we kind of already discussed. But I still think that there's some really good nuggets in there. And one thing they go into is special teams. So there's a new kicking meter that works like the 3-click golf swing. You press the button to start the kick. Second one to get the power, third one to get the accuracy. So kickers and punters, the rating's going to be way more important this year, and block kicks can actually occur this year. However, they're going to they want to make sure that it's tuned so that it reflects the real world statistics. So I'm not sure what those are, but we'll see. There's kick block formations. You've got trick run and pass plays. Remember, we saw that one in the trailer. You've got new moves. Despite these new special teams formations, you've got sky punts, backspin punts, in the return of onside aiming, and squib kicks. So squib kicks are back, and you've got no bobbled snaps. No bobbled snaps can happen during special teams play. So that's something I know they did upgrade special teams, but I don't want bobbled snaps. I don't want to watch Serious Mo playing for $50,000 lose the game because of a bobbled snap that's not related to skill. It's just a dice roll. I don't want to see that personally as a competitive esports gamer. If it's skill based, go right ahead, and especially if it's tied to the real world percentage chance, that's something I do think. But physics wise, let's see. The ball used to snap into a player's hand on the catch, but now it will collide with body parts and be knocked out when appropriate. It sounds like there's ball physics, and there's no scripting for the path of the ball. It will bounce differently after tips. So now EA has made new animations for reacting to tips, attempted and successful fumble recoveries, and knee ankle sliding catches. Also, the player models can move their arms better to track the ball. We covered off on the running game a little bit earlier, and it sounds like we're going to get some new gear. I think there's been some new gear in the images, but that's up to you guys to kind of dig into. But it sounds like EA is redoing players' cleats, gloves, and offering new sleeve options. So a good dive in from Game Informer. They got some good information out of Rex. The first blog that we read was from Clint, or the second blog we read was from Clint about gap lists and stuff like that. And he's definitely a guy you want to follow on Twitter. I just kind of brought this up because he's a guy you can get more information about. So we were talking about tackle battles, and all I know is the information that's in the blog. I don't have anything extra special, but both players have to be within range to get a tackle battle. Bruiser, running back versus a low tackle CB will not end up in a tackle battle. So that's kind of the stuff that you talk about. But, you know, you see these guys in there. I recommend going into their tweets and their @replies to see, you know, what they're talking about. So you got a guy like Rex, he's always engaging with the fans. You can ask him questions. People from our community like J. Reed Vic, you know, he asked a really good question here. This is a question that if you're a creative director of a game, like you like to ask and talk about how you make the game, and you know, ball physics is a total rebuild, and that's cool. That's cool to see this. So the other thing is Rex saying that we call this drop 10, which I think is a defense where you don't rush that many people, and he says it will not be making a return in Madden 17. He's got a blog coming up on ball physics. Let's see, there was any other stuff in here that's cool. He wants guys to click on. So in Madden 17, if you have to user the swap mechanic to make plays on offense, and there's a video of a guy getting beat on a throwdown field. So Rex's timeline's got great stuff. You can ask these guys questions, be respectful, and they'll do their best to answer you if you ask good questions. So that is what we know for Madden 17. Good gameplay info. You got Gronk, you got August 23rd, and you got to take your team all the way. So hopefully this helped you guys. If it did, I would love to get a like on the video or a follow on the channel. It'll let me know that I should keep doing more of these as new blogs and information come out. Remember, it looked like we were going to have maybe some info on franchise or a presentation according to how the page was, so we'll have to wait and see. And all I can do is just kind of give you the info that's in the blogs, but hopefully, you know, make sure you're really reading it and kind of understanding it and thinking about where can I get better in Madden 16 right now. I can start learning how to get defenders in the box. I can start learning how to set the edge and seeing how these things will play. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments what the most exciting thing was about the blogs that you read this week. Were you a sim guy dying for run fits and gap play? Are you a guy that really wants to try the new steerable moves with left trigger, right trigger? You know, maybe you're now, you know, maybe you just really like special teams and you're pumped to, you know, finally block some kicks or something like that. So let me know in the comments what your most exciting thing is. Give me a like and a share if you can. It helps me, like I said, know to do more of these. Follow on that channel because we'll have more information coming soon. We'll get the streams back working on twitch.tv/MaddenTips. And until then, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Z Farrell signing out. Have a good one.